So this is to explain how to fill in the food diary, and obviously the first thing to notice, it's a 7-day food diary, so you do need to give this to your client 7 days in advance of their consultation, so they can do it. It's much more accurate when food diaries are filled in immediately. So the actual filling in is pretty simple. How do I go down? Make sure you got your name in there, etc., because it does help when we come back. There's the date they filled it in, and then just list what they had for breakfast, for morning, for lunch, mid and afternoon, supper. In terms of level of detail, if they are weighing their food and using apps and stuff, they can put in the grams, but more and more commonly we use an approximate portion size: a large chicken breast, a handful of peas, a fist of potato, 2 large oranges, etc. So we do expect some kind of judgment of amount, and then from there they should then say, do they feel hungry afterwards, and what is their mood. All right, and they allow a period of time for the food to work. So does it feel satiated, and do they feel happy? So obviously that's day 1, and there are 7 of these to do. And then we can get to the analysis. So when you come to your consultation, try and have the analysis largely done, but you can also amend it at the time. Try and link it to the client goals that they may have stated previously. So for example, this could be fat loss or muscle gain, etc. And again, try and have some kind of smartness in there, how much they're willing to do. Because that enables you to analyse the diet in the context of the goals. There's no such thing as good or bad food, it's just, is it helping the context of their goal? So then you can say, right, what are their eating and drinking behaviours that are helpful or detrimental, sorry. You can state the behaviour here, and you can analyse it here. You can say why you think that is a detrimental behaviour. Similarly, you can say, right, what are the positive behaviours we're trying to keep, and you can state those there. So there's one space, but you can always do more. Then you can go specifically through the nutrients. So starting with water, what is the current consumption level, and how do you judge that in terms of their goals? So obviously, if they're doing lots and lots of cardio activity, you may have an opinion about need for increased hydration, etc. Similarly for caffeine, what is the level? Do you think that's a healthy amount for them? You could also talk about the time of the day. That's sometimes relevant in caffeine. Similarly with alcohol, you can put the level here and the analysis. So for things like alcohol, you can look at government guidelines on what is healthy amounts of alcohol to drink. It's always good to reference them. Then we can look at processed food. What is their processed food consumption, and how do you analyse that, and again in terms of their goal. And then moving on to fruits and vegetables, carbs, protein and fat. So try and describe their current consumption and then analyse there. Some of you might look at zone diets, what are the percentages of calories they're getting from those different things. You don't actually have to be that technical. Then we can look at what the client may need to change. So it's important this is negotiated with your client. So suggest a change. What is your rationale for that? And then also include some ways of making that happen. All right. So it's all very well saying, we're going to agree to do this. This is why, but then what are the practical steps you can put in place to make that an easy change to making a successful transition? You can then identify any barriers you feel they may face, and then some methods to overcome those barriers. Again, this is nicely done with your client if you get a chance. I hope that helps in terms of analysing the food diary. You should bring that food diary to the consultation, where it should form part of the discussion.